how is it that we are now sitting in your office that you haven't worked for how many years? 6, 7, 8 years, and yet
5 years, yeah.
5 years, and yet 5 years later, this office with your pictures and your books and your journals that talk about 1972 and it's 1976 and it's May the 10th, and this is the practical producer. It says new toilet up here. This man has run one of the most successful theaters in Canada for 46 years, and so these are his journals. So why is this office still here? Is it the Bill Museum, or why did you never clear this out?
Well, they never asked me to. So fortunately, Ashley has her own office. I mean, because the offices of the company moved from the office, this was the office right up until the fall of 2015. And then the company moved the administration office to the space on West First near Olympic Village. So about 20 minutes walking, you'd end up there. And once they moved the offices there, I had a new office.
But you never packed up this office.
I never packed up this office. No.
Why?
I never felt I had to, and they weren't insisting I do. So since they weren't kicking me out, and maybe, once they made me artistic director emeritus, maybe they thought, oh, he should have a place that he could park himself. I think it's respect. I think it's just a respect for maybe the 46 years. I don't know. They don't need if they needed this office, they would have kicked me out, I'm sure.
I know of only one other theater that's ever done it, and Tarragon did it for Urjo Correda. When Urjo died, they'd left his office with the Urjo on the walls. But after 10 or 15 years, it's gone. So it's
well, in 10 or 15 years,
you think it's will be gone?
It could be easily gone. Yes, I don't think once I'm gone they're going to keep this. So we don't want to go there. But fortunately, so far they allow me to squat in it when I turn up.
It is really nice for me, talking to Bill, to actually be sitting in the space in which you worked and thought and planned and panicked and rejoiced. It's really interesting for me.
It's sort of interesting for me too. You're right. I haven't sat in this chair for, well, whatever, since 2015. I've sat down, but the desk does have certain things that are still. Fortunately, they still dust it. Isn't that great?
Oh my God.
They still have the cleaner come in and sort of take the dust off the. But I think that there are certain. So it's easy to say, how did you last so long? And it's easy maybe to reply by saying, well, by reinventing, if we didn't have the Stanley Theatre, what would that look like? Would I have stayed? Would I have retired earlier? Because just before we opened the Stanley, I did think of retiring. And I thought, well, what else am I going to do? But, once I had the Stanley, and then a few years into that, one of the board chairs took me to lunch and said, when are you thinking of retiring? And at that point, I was still determined to find an intimate space. And I said, well, I think there's a project. This was after the Playhouse had closed. That we're going to get involved in, that basically the Arts Club took over the space that was the area that was the production center for the Playhouse. And it was torn down during the Olympic Village, during the Olympics. And then condos were put up, and as part of the condos, building the condos, they replicated the space that the Playhouse had as a production center, including a 200-seat flexible performance space. And so once the Playhouse was no longer the city, it's a city-owned facility, as it was prior to that, put in a competition for groups to use this space, and ourselves and Bard and the Beach bid on it, or put in a proposal, and it was accepted. And so we have our administration offices there. Bard and the Beach has their offices.
That's where I rehearsed Remember when I came here, I thought I rehearsed here. No, I rehearsed in that space.
Oh, okay.
I remember walking into that space. So sorry.
Yeah,
So,
big rehearsal hall.
yeah, big rehearsal hall and like.
Because
cutting
that
room.
was part. I was searching to our rehearsal hall upstairs. It's small, and suddenly we're doing these big shows at the Stanley, and the rehearsal hall is ridiculous for a big musical. So I thought we needed to find a space with bigger rehearsal halls, and we also wanted to enlarge our costume space, and that really led to getting involved in what ended up being West First, because there's two large rehearsal halls there, two smaller admin offices. Anyway, so I moved my office there, and then I said to the board, as soon as I've done that, I will retire, and I did.